Okay, if you want to broadcast.
It's broadcasting now. Yep.
Hello, everyone. This is Glenn Gray with AppViewX, and I'm here with Punashri Saha of Encryption Consulting. This webinar today is going to focus on setting up cloud-based PKI systems. It will be co-presented by myself and Punashri Saha. A little bit of a background, AppViewX provides a certificate lifecycle management solution that is both cloud-based and on-prem. And the Encryption Consulting organization provides exactly that, encryption consulting regarding PKI administration and certificate lifecycle management. I'd like to hand it over to Parna. Actually,
Thank you,
before I
Glenn.
do, I'm sorry, Parna. Before I do, let me give that overview, finish off the overview of who AppViewX, what we do. So AppViewX is the leading low-code automation platform, which enables the NetOps SecOps teams, among others, to support the business demands for greater agility. This is focused on certificate lifecycle management with the Cert Plus services of the AppViewX platform, as well as automation with the Automation Plus services of the AppViewX platform. AppViewX customers include a large number of Fortune 500 companies, and AppViewX is headquartered in New York City with additional offices around the world. Now over to you, Parna.
Thank you, Glenn. Hello, everyone. I am Parnashri Saha. I work as a PKI senior consultant with Encryption Consulting. Also, I work in different encryption solution and data protection technologies. So I'll give a brief overview of Encryption Consulting. So we are a startup and we are working on this cybersecurity field for more than 2 years now. And we provide consulting services for encryption, PKI, HSM, certificate management, etc. And we have been serving the Fortune 500 companies in the last 2+ years. So in today's topic, we will talk about different options of PKI models, where we will be leveraging the cloud providers for the different kind of infrastructure, and into how integration with HSMs on cloud and on-prem. Also, we will talk about the various challenges and use cases of PKI. So before we start with the cloud-based PKI model options, we would like to provide a brief description on what is PKI. As we all know, PKI or public key infrastructure is a vital component of the modern internet. It's a hierarchy of trust that uses digital certificates to authenticate the party they have been issued to. It serves as the cybersecurity and encryption framework that protect the data transmission between the client and your servers. So the primary role of PKI is to establish identity and encrypt data flowing across the network. Thus, it helps protecting sensitive information from being accessed by unauthorized parties. So let's understand more about PKI and certificate use cases. So PKI ensures access through public and private key pairs. The idea of access control is to ensure that only people with required security privileges are allowed to access the information. So there are major functions of PKI. Um, Confidentiality. So PKI ensures confidentiality through use of encryption algorithms. The main intention behind this is to prevent the unauthorized disclosure of information locally or across a network. By using PKI, users are able to ensure that only an intended recipient can decrypt an encrypted message. So, for example, we can use SMIME email encryption and SSL certificates for confidentiality that solves the purpose of confidentiality. And another main factor of PKI is authentication. So PKI offers this through digital certificates, and authentication is the process of verifying that the user is who they say they are, basically. So by using PKI, senders and recipients can validate each other's identities, and that way the PKI resolves the authentication purpose. Also, integrity or guaranteeing messages integrity is another important factor of PKI. PKI has built-in ways to validate that all the outputs are equivalent to the inputs. That means any alter of the data can be immediately detected or prevented. Also, PKI offers non-repudiation through digital signature. So PKI ensures that an author cannot refuse that they have signed or encrypt any particular message once it is sent. So we are in the factor, we are assuming that the privacy key is secure. So only the sender of the message can sign messages with their private key, and therefore all messages signed with the sender's private key originated with the specific individual. So that being said, uh, we the other various challenges and there are various challenges in PKI as per the industry trends. So lack of understanding on PKI concepts and design aspects, and also meeting up the compliance requirement post deployment is very crucial. As per the organization's business requirement, understanding which model of CA hierarchy would be the best option for your organization is an important factor to understand that. And also, we need to keep in mind that the compliance requirements such as NIST 857 that provides recommendation for cryptographic key management. Again, because of lack of knowledge in PKI, people tend to ignore HSMs. And when they do not use HSMs, their PKI won't be FIPS 140 level 2 or level 3 compliant. And the keys would be on the operating systems, and it's very easy for the hackers to get access to the keys. And if you are using PKI in-house, then you must be aware of the costs, as the cost of operation and deployment will be very high when you use PKI in-house. So now moving on to the top business challenges when adopting the cloud-based PKI model. The first thing we can say here, if your PKI infrastructure is on the cloud, then there is no clear ownership on who is responsible to manage the PKI and the certificates. Also, knowing and understanding which cloud providers can fulfill all your requirements as per your business needs is something we need to look at when we plan for a PKI model or a structure. And then choosing the right tools and processes to manage PKI operations is another important part. So for example, AppViewX certificate management solution can manage the PKI operations. So that is the right tool for your PKI. Also, integration with your existing PKI infrastructure can be sometimes tricky. So choosing the right model option for your organization is a must. So as we talked about the challenges, we would like to discuss about few guiding principles for cloud-based PKI deployment. So whenever we design a PKI, we should explore the opinions on the cloud native services, also choosing the right infrastructure deployment models of the cloud, such as you are choosing a public cloud or private or a hybrid cloud, that has to be taken care. And we need to make sure that the security and controls are in place. That means we are using FIPS 140 level 3 certified HSM for our CAs, be it a root CA or issuing CA. And we normally do a threat modeling with respect to the different threat vectors which are out there, as in if somebody gets an access as an enterprise admin, how we can restrict those, and when we how we can restrict those. And when we talk about defense in depth, it's not just we have one mechanism to control the access. We will be having multiple controls and channels to stop the hackers by enforcing the true two-person integrity. Then we can also enforce the controls using the HSMs, and enforcing the controls by using privileged tools such as CyberArk, etc. So yeah, these were our guiding principles, and we'll talk about the various PKI cloud-based model options now. So our first option is the simple model. So this is the simplest model of cloud-based PKI. In this approach, we are keeping out root CA on-prem, exactly the same way how we are doing for our traditional PKI models. In this case, the issuing CA will be on the cloud. Here we are leveraging the cloud providers to provide management and availability of your VMs and or the CAs. Also, as the issuing CA resides on the cloud HSM will be used for storing the keys. For example, if you are using AWS Certificate Management Private CA, then you will be using the cloud HSM to store your private keys. Here, the issuing CA is the primary enterprise CA and issues certificate to the end entities. So this model is very simple to deploy, and this is pretty much go for the small scale business units. However, the security of this private key in this model is completely relying on the cloud service providers as you are using the cloud HSM. So we'll talk about the next option, that is a two-tier model. So this is basically the expansion of our simple model. In this case, we still have our root CA on-prem, and we have two issuing CAs, one on the on-prem and another one on the cloud. So by segmenting the CAs between the locations, we can isolate the risks associated with them. If you see the previous model, there we will have trouble addressing the devices of the on-premises, but in this model we are achieving the hybrid kind of option, as we are addressing both the resources which are on-prem as well as the resources on the cloud. So the cloud issuing CA will focus on the things which needs issuance and availability outside the on-premises, whereas our on-prem issuing CA will focus on the security of non-cloud resources. For example, workstation authentication, domain certificates, etc. So yeah, so this is one of the way, and this model can also be deployed. We can put other PKI components such as CDP, AIA, OCSP on the cloud in a highly available state. This way, we can also leverage the cloud providers for revocation informations. So in this case, CAs are not exposed and signing keys are protected with the HSMs on-prem and on the cloud. So our next option is a three-tier PKI model. So generally, we recommend that you start with a two-tier PKI. However, if a third party is managing your issuing CAs, like any other countries, China, India, then how will you have control on your issuing CAs? And that's when the policy CAs comes into the picture. So where you can define explicit issuance and application policies on your policy CA, and then the policy CA will decide the policies which are going to be issued and how it is going to be issued in any issuing CAs. Similarly, if you do not have complete trust on your cloud provider, whichever cloud provider you kept your issuing CA on, and you want to have a tight control on your issuance of your certificates, then you can always go for the 3-tier architecture by putting your policy CA on-prem and your issuing CAs on the cloud. So one catch in this model is the issuing CA will not be able to issue certificates for any other purpose except the ones specified or mentioned in the policy CA. So there is another model. This model is almost similar to the previous one, and we are incorporating the approach explained in the previous one for this model. So this model is basically giving a hybrid IT kind of approach where the root CA and the policy CA is on-prem, and we also have our on-prem HSMs where the root CA and the policy CA is on-prem, and we have two issuing CAs here, one on-prem and the other one on the cloud. And this is to address different use cases. In this model, for the issuing CA which is on the cloud, we can use the cloud HSM. And if you are using AWS certificate management private CA, in this case, again, you will have to use the AWS Cloud HSM. But if you are putting your Microsoft CA on the AWS EC2 instance, you can use your on-prem or your external HSM to store your keys. So moving on to the recommendation approach. So based on 2-tier and the 3-tier architecture, these two models would be our recommendation as per the standards and best practices. However, deciding factors for your PKI model is completely depends on the business cases and the requirements of your organization. Then only, I mean, we cannot go blindly with these two options. These are our recommendation for the best practices, but again, you'll have to choose your options depending on your business cases. Now we'll talk about the benefits of using the cloud-based PKI models. So when we have your PKI on the cloud service providers handles all the ongoing maintenance and ensures the scalability and availability. Also, there is no upfront investment on hardwares, servers, and softwares. You can always customize your PKI design models, uh, and your private key will be safe on FIPS 140 level 3 certified cloud HSMs. So that's all from my end. Thank you so much for listening. Over to you, Glenn, if you want to add something on certificate lifecycle management or for the options what we talked about from AppViewX perspective.
Yes, thank you, Parna. Hopefully, for everyone who's in attendance, this has given you somewhat of a preview of what types of consulting and professional services you might be able to expect from Encryption Consulting, right? We've been reviewing, discussing some of the best practices and procedures that you would want to consider when managing your PKI infrastructure. And we've talked about components of CA, the handling of certificate assets, exchanging them back and forth between your particular enterprise, the issuing CA, and so forth, and best practices in handling, storing private keys, HSM platforms, and a number of cloud-based providers for certificate issuing or certificate authorities. So the AppViewX platform can tie all of this together, and that is the ability to integrate with not only your infrastructure, where your certificates live, be it mobile devices, IoT devices, firewall, VPN endpoints, VPN clients, load balance, ADC platforms, server-based platforms, to include IIS, Apache, Linux-based web service deployments, right? All of the assets and service platforms where your certificates reside, but as well as your certificate authorities. Now, whether those are just internet-based, your internal PKI solutions, maybe it's a Microsoft Enterprise, even your well-recognized cloud providers, Google, AWS, we can integrate with all of those to bring this together for full certificate lifecycle management and automated services so that you can extend self-servicing out to your consumers. So it really streamlines the whole process of managing your certificates. You can identify policies so that you're effectively issuing governance practices. You can perform reporting so that you have clear visibility and accountability of all of your certificate assets. And all of the design examples, architectural examples of single tier, dual tier, three tier, distributed, hybrid that Parna has been describing are fully supported by the AppViewX platform. And again, how can you deploy the AppViewX platform? It can be on-prem, in cloud, or a hybrid. So again, hopefully you've gained some value out of this brief presentation. I think it's appropriate at this time to open up for questions, comments, thoughts. So I'm not sure if the audio is unmuted for all participants, but we do have a chat feature in the Zoom meeting where there's a Q&A or just the chat feature. Feel free to put forth any questions, thoughts, concerns. Anything coming through, Parna, as you're facilitating?
I am not seeing anything on the chat right now. Parna, do you want to move to the contact slide? Yeah.
If there are no questions, wait, something in the chat just popped up.
Yep.
Let's look here.
Which Glenn, that's for you.
So the question that was presented is, which cloud technologies are supported by AppViewX? I'm thinking when you ask cloud technologies, you're potentially referring to cloud providers and perhaps which CA cloud-based providers, or maybe even which cloud-based service endpoints can we support. So within cloud-based service endpoints, you might have server-based, you may have load balance, like elastic load balance, things like that. So we support the three well-recognized Azure, Google, GCP, as well as Amazon Web Services, AWS. And so whether your CA is in the cloud and issuing your certificates, or your web service platforms are in the cloud, either or, and in the case of both, we can support those cloud technologies. If that didn't answer the question, please clarify. Okay, I'm getting a confirmation on that, and you're very welcome. Any other questions? If not, just to wrap up, contact information is displayed here on the screen. Please do feel free to reach out to us. You can reach me directly, Glenn at AppViewX, Puneet Singh at Encryption Consulting. We also have our websites, and if you go to the websites, you'll also be able to contact us through the web interface. We'd be happy to schedule further discussions, customized demonstrations of the AppViewX platform and field any additional questions you might have about the professional services and consulting services that Encryption Consulting offers. And again, we've partnered for some time now, and had a very successful relationship, which we look forward to expanding. So if there are no other questions, I think we can wrap up. And I want to thank you, Puneet, and thank you, Parna, and all attendees. Have a great rest of the weekend or week.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, everybody.